Everybody, welcome to Marketing Monday. Glad you guys are here. So this is a part 2. If you didn't watch last week's, that's fine. I went into kind of the overall how do Facebook ads work, how does targeting work, some other unique things about Facebook, such as the lookalike audience, the custom audiences, and how you kind of set up all of that side. Today we're going to talk about the actual ads themselves. Photos, videos, the copy, what do you say? And then I'll talk a little bit about where you send people because we touched on it last week, but it's still important this week. And I'm going to show some analytics of how to kind of diagnose what's happening, because this isn't a set it and forget it thing. This is very much I need to look at it, make adjustments, make changes to it. So as always, hop in, say where you're from. I love to chat with you. If you have any questions along the way, stop me. Love to talk to you about it. But we're going to dive deep here. And let's go into some of the creative side. So I'm going to start photos, text, and then we'll actually hop into the platform and talk about it a little bit. So a lot of times we use a tool called Canva. And there's a couple reasons we use it. One, it's super friendly. There are times you want to put a little bit of text onto an image, not a lot of text, and Canva is one of the best places to do that. So I'm going to actually show my screen over here. And as we get into it, it is... Hang on, Bill is literally slacking me as we're talking, so give me a second here. That's fine. We'll see if Bill hops in, or when Bill hops in, if how this conversation changes. That's okay. So we use Canva to be able to create images, because you can literally go through a template. So say, for example, you had some testimonials along the way. I could search for testimonials inside of Canva. I see some great examples of templates that use them, and then I have the ability to then hop in and make some changes, change some images, that kind of stuff. But it's also great if you just had some images. So I like to use travel as a great example, because it usually ends up with a bunch of great images to be able to use as kind of a starting point. So you don't want to necessarily have like this level of text where it's just like a mountain. This is actually a booklet. But having some type of text on it, this is too much text as well. But having some type of text, like this one's not a bad one. That's a presentation, but you can kind of get the example of things with a little bit of text, calling something out, highlighting a feature. Those types of things are great images to use. And again, you would test. This one has some fun animation to it. That's fun as well. But there's lots of things you can kickstart with. The other reason that we like Canva is because I'm going to move my head around so you can see it a little bit bigger. The other reason you like Canva is because you actually do video content inside of Canva. So let me grab a toy real quick. Everything's always on the charger. So this is called an Osmo Pocket. Let me make myself big again here. Oops, you're in the right spot. There we go. So this is called an Osmo Pocket. It is a little gimbal. So you can see like a little head there. It stabilizes footage, and then you're able to do walkthroughs of properties with it. It's an incredible little tool. It's not that expensive compared to as you start to get into having more and more properties, and this tool becomes like it pays for itself in a short period of time. Because you don't have to hire a video team out for every single property. A big difference between photography and videography. I'm a video person, so I'm all about making sure that you have high quality video content as well. But because you can't use it in as many places, that it's hard to justify spending $1,000, $2,000 per property. There's some unique things that you have to get. You get drone footage. You have that type of property that needs it. But some of the Osmo Pocket is a great way to get really good footage. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. I'll kind of walk you through a little bit of that. So if I actually switch this to real estate video, for example, I can find like this is a really good one. So inside of Canva, you have the ability to, one, overlay text on top of video, like this one does here, where you can kind of see if I preview this, that has text on top of this video, then there's text on top of this next video. You can put video clips together. The cool thing about this is that this is basically like video editor, but way simplified. And so, for example, I can just move these around. So if I wanted this in this order, that in that order, I can just move stuff, make things simple. if I had my own clips, so if I actually go over to my uploads over here and switch to videos, I can grab, there's Bill, pop him in here. Hey, Bill.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, I better put some headphones on. This might not be good. Hang on a second. Sorry, I didn't expect you to pop in, so I didn't put headphones on, so my audio was going to go crazy in a second.
No worries. I didn't expect to pop in either, but I saw the notification and figured I'd jump in.
Keep my headphones go to the right spot. That'll be better. There we go. We're not blasting through my microphone as well. Yes, I'm talking a little bit about how Canva Osmo, incredible little tool to be able to take video content yourself. Way better than, you can get those gimbals for your phone to attach to, that kind of thing. But just a very simple, easy tool. And then inside of Canva, with this new video tools, you can literally grab footage, drag and drop it in. You can adjust the in point, the out point of footage as well. And then you can have your own content just that easily. Hit the play button. Popped in, super easy. Pop stuff in and out and make your own videos, because part of the problem when you typically hire someone is they make you their cut of a video. And we talk about this a lot when we go back and forth on videos, is that we can put out video content super quick because I'm the one typically doing the editing for a lot of that type of stuff. And so when you have like, hey, change this, change that, move the order of this, I'm like, all right, boom, 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 done, get you a new version of it. And we might go through a couple revisions as we move the key amenities around or remove the key things around. But when you're working with a third party editor, that a lot of times it can be really hard for, they typically only get so many revisions. They may not have it perfectly the way you want it. Or when you go through like the Facebook ad process, you may discover once you run an ad, oh, people really liked the first 30 seconds of this video. So let me move some things into that first 30 seconds to see if this next version of the video will perform as well. Well, if you have to go to an editor every time you need that change, it can be a little difficult. But in Canva, you can quickly boom, 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 pop some things around and make it super easy. Where even you don't even need me for. I could just upload all the footage into Canva, and you could totally make your own version of videos without having to have someone like me as the go-between in between us.
Takes way too much time for other people, especially if you're using VAs. We've had the same VA for almost 6 years now and still have to go through multiple rounds of revisions to get that stuff right, whereas you shoot your own stuff. And honestly, I've started using CapCut just because it's so easy on a phone. A lot of the videos that I posted on my Instagram stories while I've been on this trip have been with CapCut, which is something that I always had to go to you, then you would send it to Nino, our VA, and it just takes way too fucking long because speed is something that is so critical in what we're doing. I think the other thing about like the Osmo or a gimbal, like I had Bria shoot some of video shots of, the super low, Bria, what do you call that shot? Like the vertical shot, flipping it over 0.5, and then you flip the phone over to get the tall vertical with your phone. And then she would like to circle around me if you saw that video when I was in front of the Coliseum and stuff using my phone. That would be 100 times easier if I had our Osmo, to go and film something like that. And then if you have the gimbal and any type of extender, so somebody could do that, it makes it super easy. But I think there's some of those little tricks that become critical. Like I wasn't even familiar with the 0.5, and then you flip your phone over, right? So you're filming it upside down. If you have like 2 stories in your property, like the shot that Chris just showed you was of Sunset Point, my lake house. Well, if I wanted to get the stairs and, the loft and that type of stuff in that, I would need to flip it over and do a 0.5 and do the other thing to be able to get that height inside of it. And these are the little tricks that, an old guy like me learns from, seeing all the young kids and what they do on Instagram and, catching their reels and their tutorials and that type of stuff. But it's really critical to do that stuff. And I think there's a lot of things for us to learn, especially if you're older. And I'm not calling anybody old. I mean, I'm 51. But I mean, if you're like over 40 and you are not a content creator, knowing the angles and the photos and how to pose for them, like almost every photo prior to this trip, Bria and I would pose, with arms around each other in front of a monument or whatever. And we started almost doing like action shots and posing as opposed to, being together looking straight, almost never looking at the camera, whether it's sitting at lunch, whether it's in front of a monument, whether it's on a train, whatever that is. And it gets a lot more engagement with that. And that's something that becomes super important. I think Andrew Keller does a really good job of this with his mom, when they shoot photos. And, that's something that, he travels typically with his mother. I know, what house was it that you and Andrew's mom both did stuff? That was at the lake house, actually, at Sunset Point, when he just reshot that maybe a month ago. Both Bria and Andrew's mom were in shots as well. And the other thing that I'll tell you is, Verbo has not been, their video has been down for, it seems like an eternity, like 6 or 7 months. And a lot of people haven't been investing into shooting, video. Like you did a full video walkthrough, I believe, with the Osmo at, I haven't seen that yet, but of the new, 12-9 Smith Lake retreat that Bria and I just finished. And I think Andrew shot photos. He was just down there as well. Photos, and then did some video and drone footage. That stuff is what's going to render really well if you're trying to do social media, or if you're, going to run any type of Facebook ads or TikTok or Instagram Reels. And it's the stuff of like, having, Chris, you think about it at the Montana property, right? Coming down the river with a drone, and I'm voicing it over and talking about the whole way. And then you zoom into a close up of me about 10 feet away. If I'm talking about the new Geodome, or if I'm talking about the view, or whatever, or even if you're not going to be there talking about, just to see that stuff, I think it's different than what most of us are going to shoot from video content and also images.
Yeah, I think that one key you have to do now is you have to shoot both horizontal and vertical, because there are places like the internet, when you're on a desktop or computer, or even an iPad, where the horizontal video is the preferred way to have video. But most of us consume a ton of content, or most of our content, on this device, and where vertical videos much, much better, especially for those story posts, the quick social posts where you're trying to highlight a few things. Even ads, you can create a version of an ad that's horizontal for desktop and vertical for mobile, and it will pick the right one to put in the right spot. And you just can't fake it. It's hard to later, when you're shooting, horizontal space, and then I'm framing for that. So I'm like, okay, I get the bathroom, I get the window, I get the bed correctly horizontally, and then later I'm cutting out just a sliver of the middle part of it, and like all I see is barely any bed. It's because it wasn't shot properly for that format. So like, there's one awesome trick of this particular camera is you can shoot horizontal and then literally flip the little screen on the back of it, and it becomes vertical video. And then you're able to go back and make sure you record things where you're framing. You can actually see what you're doing for video as well.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize to everybody, hey, Chuck, how are you? And I'll kind of point this at Chuck, but to everybody that's out there, Chuck, nobody gives a shit about your properties on Instagram. Your properties are not cool enough. I love your lodge. I love Ocean Dreams. I love my properties. My properties aren't cool enough to gain 30, 40, 50,000 followers that are going to actually buy from me. It's a waste of fucking time for all of you guys that are out there that have good properties or super properties like I have. It has to be something so Kardashian-esque, so spectacular, that's going to catch somebody's eye to stop that scroll. And you can have a really nice property. I'm talking super nice property. Even this huge 12-9 mansion, it's the biggest house on this lake. It's got 2 hot tubs. It's got every single thing, that these rooms that Bria, Chris, you were down there, the game room's the best one we've ever done. The built-in bunks that Bria designed are off the fucking hook. I've never seen those before. The house is exceptional and one of the best projects she's ever done. But it's still not going to garner 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people that are going to want to buy on Instagram. It's a waste of your time to do this. When Chris and I are talking about this, it's like, if you're going to go in and start doing stuff like what I do on CapCut and that type of stuff, understand it's way better for Chris, to take an hour to edit a 60-second reel in After Effects than it will be for me to spend 15 minutes for one 60-second reel on CapCut. And that difference in the editing on the back end is what's going to make all the difference in the world, and the virality that's going to happen with that content. right? So that's what I want you to understand. And there's not very many VAs too. You're not going to get videos edited at $5 to $7 a video on Upwork or through a hired virtual assistant that are going to garner the quality that's needed to be able to go viral and really build your following. And I say all this to just really pay attention to what I'm telling you, because there's a lot of people that are selling you shit, selling you technology, selling you, you know, their courses and all that type of stuff. There's 4 things that you should be doing, and you should be putting your effort into buy sell trade groups, putting your effort into email marketing through the 200-day marketing funnel, putting your effort into Facebook ads and learning how to do that right. And the strategy that you're going to use in your design and your editing on to go into a reel on TikTok or on Instagram is completely different than what you need to do if you're going to be doing Facebook ads. So it's strongly really pay attention to what I'm throwing down. And that's why I always stop and I want to give you this back end information, because I don't want you to waste your fucking time on stuff that's not going to work, right? The number one thing that's going to move needles for all of you guys, if you do it right, and I just saw this with Zach's with the Smith Lake retreat. I don't even know when you sent me those photos. I think that listing's been up maybe 7 days, 8 days, 9 days. We've taken like 8 bookings at like $70,000. And I promise you the majority of those have come through the buy sell trade groups. I promise you, I posted them in like 21 Nashville buy sell trade groups, right? And then I went into Birmingham, Alabama. And so the property's 2.5 hours from Nashville. It's, you know, 45, 50 minutes from Birmingham. And then Mississippi, the entire state, and Memphis are a huge deal. So I'm in all these buy sell trade groups. And I do what's called the emoji stacking. And I didn't have any great photos. I didn't have Andrew Keller style photos, but I took the 10 best photos that Chris could get to me. And that's all I did. And that's where our bookings have come from, you know, so far, or from those buy sell trades. Are they booking through, they're booking through Airbnb because we don't have a direct booking site with that yet. It's too soon. And, you know, we have to get Stripe accounts set up and all those types of things. So I'm using that. I've done nothing else outside of that. And I wouldn't even say I haven't even done any listing optimization yet. I probably spent 45 minutes at, you know, 10 o'clock at night, you know, in Italy, trying to write some copy and I'm talking just basic stuff, filling out under the images and those types of things with copy. But because of how cool the house is and the size of it and the location of it, it's going to end up selling itself. So I would also tell you that you really need to focus on your copywriting. So we can sit here and talk about Canva and CapCut and all that type of stuff. But if you can't write exceptional titles for your Facebook ads, exceptional titles for your listings, if you can't write really descriptive copy, I always refer back to that Bella Vista copy that Tim wrote, Chris, in the description, and the copy that goes into the body of your Facebook post or your Facebook ad, it's critical. Now, if you want to see that house and see what I'm talking, I just posted in the Facebook group, our group, the Build Short-Term Rental Wealth group, right before Chris started this, actually. I did. It's a YouTube, and Chris, if you could grab that, maybe that YouTube link and send it and share it with them so they can see it. I want you to look at the walkthrough of this house and see how impressive it is, but it is still not good enough for me to make the decision to invest 5, 6, 7 hours a week to try to build an Instagram following with that. I would rather spend that time on stuff that I know is going to work. And like literally sending out an email to my email list will probably garner $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in bookings for people that have already stayed with us at other properties. So I'm going to focus on the things that work, and I'm going to eliminate the ones that don't work from a marketing standpoint. And for me, it is not Instagram and TikTok and wasting that amount of time, because you're not going to drive revenue, which is really what we're doing. And that's what I want you to think about. I don't want you to think about the sexy stuff. I don't want you to think about what the cool kids are. You don't have to be on TikTok. You don't have to be, you know, posting reels every day like what you see from other people. What you need to do is see what really makes money for you. And then that's what you need to focus on and emphasize. And if you want to check out the walkthrough of that house that I did with Bria, you can see that. Chris just dropped in the YouTube link. Once we get done with this, you can check it out here on the channel.
Yeah, and it's I think people get, and we've seen this in everything we've ever done, people get shiny key syndrome, and they see the cool thing that's working for someone over here or the thing they see over there, and they lose focus on the things that actually move the needle and work. And some of those things take work. Yeah, when you post in a bunch of buy sell trade groups, you have to do the research into where those groups are. You have to actually make the post, create the templates for you to respond with. It's not as easy sometimes as even Facebook ads is easier because you put the thing in, you turn it on, and you're not having to constantly message people and respond to things or keep an eye on it or just keep track of which groups you posted and which groups you haven't posted in. But man,
let me jump in real quick, because
Yeah.
when I did that post, I think I did 11 or 12 groups just in Nashville on that first day, and had over 300 replies. Is this available? Is this available? All the annoying shit. What's the price? What's the price? I just want to say, click the fucking link in the listing, you idiot. But I can't, right? So I do. You mentioned the template. It's in this whole system's in the Superhost library. That's like $67 a month, along with 110 other action plans. But this system alone is if you have the template ready to where you can copy paste, and there's one key. So I'm always taking those 2 extra steps, and I'm doing the stuff that you guys won't do. The lazy people out there are just going to copy paste. This is so simple. It takes 3 seconds. Copy paste, customize the first name. Hey, Chris. Hey, Tom. Hey, Lori. Hey, Lisa. And just that customization, you have the template, but just that personalization is what's going to increase conversion. Or start dialogue where now you're getting into sales dialogue with them. You know, are you pet friendly? What days are available? Whatever it is, the more dialogue you can have, the farther down the sales process you're going to take them, because you're going to provide solutions to their objections. And if you can do that, then you're going to drive conversion. So here's where the conversion, I'm not really good at math. Remember, I'm a college dropout. But what is 8 out of 300, Chris? Literally, we're talking like 4%, I think, roughly 3.5%, 4%, 8 out of 300, right? So that is a very good conversion rate to be able to drive 8 new bookings out of 300 messages. Now, I don't know that 100% of those came from the buy, sell, trade group. So even let me say it's only 50% of those, because I'm sending them all to Airbnb. I'm not sending them to a direct booking site. So if it's 50%, that's 4. That's roughly like 1.5%. I am fine with that when I'm doing like $10,000 a booking, to spend that amount of time replying to that amount of people to be able to get those potential 4 bookings that are going to be worth about $40,000. But it does take work. It takes the know-how in the system to mitigate the time involved into that. Those 300 messages probably over the span of a day or a day and a half, maybe 2 days, probably took me a good 20 to 30 minutes to reply to. It's only taken like 5-10 seconds to reply, but it's sporadic, and you got to do it timely. You can't do it 20 or 30 minutes. They've already moved on, to someplace else. So you got to be really paying attention and be quick on the draw when those things come in.
Absolutely. It's the speed, the customization, like you said, it's the 2 extra steps that you're known for, that you always do, you put into everything that we do. And it's the difference maker, honestly, between average and super.
That's why there's a 7-hour time difference between, it's 8:25 p.m. here, than Central Time. It's what time do you start? 2:00. It's like 3:25 in New York on the East Coast, right? So the thing that sucks about this time change is I literally have conditioned myself now to wake up between like midnight and 3:00, like 2 or 3 times, to check my messaging, because that's when everybody's checking in back home, right? Oh, door code doesn't work, lock doesn't work, and I'm trying to cover, the OBX and the Outer Banks all the way to Montana, and that's not an easy thing to do. That is the one thing that sucks about this business for somebody like me that has multiple properties spread out across the country when I go to a place like where I'm at now. But here's what I want you to understand. Every single person that checks out of a property, and it is, what is today? Is today Monday? It's Monday. So Saturday was my big turn day, especially for a lot of our beach properties. And what really irritates me is when I see people that wait to reply to the checkouts and the reviews, right? And you wait for an hour's bad enough, but I see people waiting for a day, right? Here's what you need to do. And this is all about marketing, right? When you get that notification from Airbnb or Vrbo that the platform is ready for you to leave a review, as Chris mentioned, you need to be super duper fast. So it didn't matter if I was at dinner, if I was in a boat to the Amalfi Coast or whatever, if I was on the plane flight, I'm literally immediately, Chris, going in and replying and letting that guest know how much I appreciate them. And I appreciate you so much that we've just left you a 5-star review, and we hope we were able to earn the exact same because it's critical to my family's small business. And then I sign off on the email, Bill, Bria, Gentry, and Oakley from the entire Faith family, right? So it makes it uber personal because the guy might piss me off and say, oh, you're only worth a 4. But if I throw my kids in there, I throw my wife in there, it makes this all is what marketing is about. It's about psychology, right? Yep. Way harder for somebody to leave any type of negative review or even go from a 5 to a 4, because a 4 is a really easy thing for people to do because they think that's a rock solid review. We know it kills us, right? So my priority is to get that done and then send that private message before they leave the review. Because if I don't get that in, I am diminishing my chances of gaining a 5-star review. There's way too many of us that have got 4-star reviews and they don't understand that they just screwed us, right? So that speed is critical. I literally am going to let you take over because I just got an inquiry for that new Smith Lake house that I've got to go and reply to. I'll stay on the video, but I'm going to switch out of the screen and I'm going to take care of this right now because I cannot wait to get this done.
Yep. And Terry, I saw your question pop in real quick. Which Osmo? There are several Osmos. We've used all of the versions. The best one is honestly the newest one, the Osmo 3. Actually, I have it up on my second screen here. Whoops, switch it to this one. All right, there we go. It is the screen, the stabilizer, battery life. It just is an incredible little camera. I know there can be a little sticker shock when it comes to a camera like this, but one property can make it a little rough. If you are, Bill and I were constantly making content for not just the properties, but also for Bill, is just an incredible investment for how much what it can do and its capabilities compared to, and I can switch us back to full screen here. Behind me, I always have this one. This is a stabilizer for a big camera. This stabilizer is close to like $3,000 to be able to put a normal full-size camera on it. So, it is a lot. It's not a cheap investment, but it's definitely if you shoot enough video or want to shoot video, it is a worthy investment to make into it. I want to answer any questions. I'll make a separate video on Facebook analytics of ad. That's what I was going to do today, but I think Bill's conversation was too on point for, I had you. So it's with the time difference. I'm not going to not talk to you instead of me going over what I plan to go over. So I'll make a quick little Loom video about that later today. Post it in the Facebook group for all y'all. I'll shoot an email out.
$6,782 instant booking by approving it for the Smith Lake house. Probably took me, even after finishing up with you guys, less than 90 seconds to approve that. Here's what I want you guys to understand. If I finish this out, which we're supposed to be done in 45 seconds, but will probably take longer than that. If I take another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, what is that potential guest doing? They're going and looking at other properties. So that's where speed is super critical. And it's why it was a mother, for people to work for me when I'm running sales teams, because their speed of follow-up, their speed of answering calls, their speed of setting meetings. It's just like with a sales guy. Every one of them, I set the table for the next one, and I would fire them if they didn't follow my process. When you get off a call, when you leave a meeting, you have to set that next meeting and get it on both people's calendar and then follow up to confirm with it the next day, even if the meeting's not for 5 to 7 days from that point, right? And that's the same diligence that we have to have when we are dealing with our guests. That's why I need you guys to treat this like a business. Because if you treat this, like, oh, hey, I'm on vacation, I'm checking out, I'm not doing this stuff. Chris ain't going to fucking do it. My wife's not going to do it. She's sitting here sleeping right there on the bed next to me at 2:00 in the morning. I've got to be the person to do it. That's why I've got alarms set at midnight. Midnight is literally check-in time in the East Coast. Then 1:00 is check-in in Alabama for Smith Lake and, the Gulf Shores properties. And then I have one more alarm set at 2:00 in the morning for the Montana properties if I had check-ins, because I know that stuff always goes wrong between like 4 to 8 o'clock, right? And then by that time, it's like 2:00. I've been awake the entire time. I've had to take some power naps during the day. But it's my commitment to not even hospitality. It's my commitment to customer service, to be honest with you. And a lot of us just take way too long. You have to have a tremendous sense of urgency. Now, Chris knows You know, he's lived it for 6.5 years. Some days he fucking hates my urgency, and other days, but he also understands why it makes me so good at what I do because I don't have time to sit back and fuck around, whether it's my guests, whether it's getting stuff out. You know, Chris, you probably, I'm not going to say you've had probably the 2 busiest weeks that you've ever had in 6.5 years of working for me because those are probably encompassed around the big conference, FTR Wealth Conference stuff. But I'm sure, I mean, you had to rebuild buildfaith.com. You had to get the Puerto Rico couples retreat stuff all ready to go. You're hopefully rebuilding, the STR Wealth Conference that we will announce dates for that, just FYI, within probably, hopefully, the next 2 weeks as well, and have tickets on sale in the next 2 weeks, amongst all the other things. And then I can tell you what happens right now, just so you guys really understand. And Chris wakes up in the morning, and I think it might have been Saturday or a different day. We were having some issues with OwnerRez. And even today, OwnerRez just deleted every single booking that I have in 25 and 26 off of resort cleaning. For whatever reason, they canceled every single booking. But we were having issues with Hospitable and, messaging delivery and OwnerRez bullshit. And Chris starts texting me at 5 o'clock in the morning. And probably a little bit deeper understanding because I was on the opposite end, with Chris when I was here, and he was in, Europe and Italy and all that stuff a couple of months ago. But it's just that urgency, that 2 extra steps and that urgency in getting stuff done super quickly is absolutely critical, right? And I think people just take too long to reply to their guests. In general, they take too long to approve the bookings in general. And I want everybody to understand that booking I just jumped off here to go and do, I didn't know what it was. I just saw the email notification come in. Excuse me, I think I got COVID at the top of my screen. And that's why I see that. And I see the inquiries. I don't know if it's Instabook. I don't know if they're, requesting the book, if I have to pre-approve. I don't know what it is, but I know I need to get them to stop moving on, to stop scrolling as quickly as we can. I know that I need to be in front of everything and be proactive with my guests to make sure I continue to get 5-star reviews, right? I know that I need to be proactive in the cleaning. That's why I send, I think it's 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. morning after every single check-in, have an automated message through Hospitable. And it's what we call the morning after message. Hey, this is Bill. Just wanted to check in, make sure everything was great. You got everything working. You figured it out. And the cleaning was up to your standards. So that way it does 2 things. One, they see that I'm checking on them, and every guest absolutely appreciates that because none of you do it. If you do, you've done it recently since you followed me or somebody else that's out there. And then the second part, it's written very personal. And the third part is it mitigates their ability to come back and say that the property wasn't clean or there was something damaged, down the road. So I literally had a guest, I think it was Saturday actually, that replied to that message and said, hey, we didn't watch TV last night, but we turned it on this morning. And there was a black line, and through Dragonfly, through that big, I think it's either 75-inch TV. So literally I said, you know what, I'm sorry. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning their time. I replied to them. It was like, whatever, 2 o'clock here. So I was awake. And I said, I will have a brand new TV installed for you by noon. You don't need to wait around. You can go to the beach. I just need you to give me approval for my handyman to be able to enter, to take that one out and replace it. And we had that done by 11 o'clock. Bria goes in immediately. I don't think we had a 75-inch available, but there was a 65-inch Hisense 4K available at Walmart. She orders it. Handyman goes, picks it up, all between 6 a.m., 11 a.m. They didn't come back till 2 or 3, and they were tickled pink because of the speed of getting that done. They said they would be 100% fine. They were staying an entire week, like an $18,000 booking. Hey, well, we're fine. It doesn't really bother us. And I'm like, fuck that. It bothers me. That's not the way we roll. You guys spent great money to be here, whether you want to watch Euro Cup or Copa or, Friends at night or whatever. No, to make sure this gets fixed for you immediately. Chris, take over. I got another booking. I think I got to go shoot them the video.
Oh, you're good. I mean, it's honestly, and I know that we call this Marketing Monday, but you can kind of see how all the parts and pieces play into it. The speed of response keeps someone in your property at the front of mind for them. You'll give them a chance to click on and find, oh, this property is kind of close to what we're thinking of, but the pricing is cheaper. You'll give them a chance to make the comparisons. You're hitting them right when they're in the decision-making mode which is so much part of when we talk buyer cycle. Sometimes people are looking, sometimes people are ready to make the decision. Usually when they're putting a quote in, put an inquiry in, they're ready to make the decision. So the faster you can hit them where they're already ready before they move on to the next one, or they see the next thing, the next shiny key to take them away, the better chance you have of that decision being the decision and not just kind of looking around, actually making the move to make it a complete decision for them.
I have no idea how long I was gone, but I was a Surfside Serenity booking. That's a co-hosting client, beachfront property down in Gulf Shores. It is for next April. So here's another marketing thing. And this is, Chris, I don't know if you were able to check on every property for me today.
I did.
But it was like the Smith Lake property wasn't available for an entire year or even 2 years. And so I had to have Chris go in and audit all of our portfolio and make sure all my owned and the co-hosted properties are open for a year. We just took a booking in Gulf Shores, Fort Morgan, actually, for April. I think it's 24th through 27th. Now, I also haven't seen that owner-res fire yet. So the hospitable message. That's the one we've been having problems sending with whatever. I don't know what the issue is, but with that property, for some reason, hospitable is not even triggering the Airbnb messages. So we'll keep an eye on that. But anyways, I was probably gone for a minute, maybe a minute, 10, 20 seconds. I was able to check that message. I did not reply to the message, but I did text them a video super quick. Hey, I think it was Cynthia. My name's Bill. I'm going to be your co-host. If you need anything, concierge services, private chef, whatever, life jackets, that type of stuff. Any questions, let me know, because I won't start sending you messages till about 2-3 weeks prior to your arrival. But I just want to put a name with a face. So I shot that while I was here on this thing and texted it to her and back all in like a minute and 20 seconds. And Chris remembers we were in Whitefish, Montana the night before. I think you were flying home. No, we were both flying home, or we were out there mastermind meeting or whatever it was. And I'm at dinner and I literally get a booking, and it just happened to be Wendy, which I didn't even realize that it was. And then I posted that video in the group, I think, and it was Wealthy Wendy. But literally we're in the middle of dinner. I don't even say anything to Chris. I see the booking come in and I just shoot the video, and like 30 seconds out of my day, just fast reaction, quick urgency, and doing those personal things is what's going to set that tone for those 5-star reviews and for those guests to come back and back again. And I'll share with you something, Chris. We just had a guest check out in Montana at the Lodge 93 cabin, and he literally has booked the Smith Lake property. So he stayed at Sunset Point twice. He stayed at Dragonfly once. He stayed at Lodge 93 once in Montana, and he just booked, I think it was yesterday or the day before. He's from Memphis. He's a friend of John Hodges, Zach's property. And so he also knows that I have this mega $3 million property under contract in Montana, and I've sent him the listing so he can see it. I'm prepping him to book that and to come back to that property as well. That's the marketing stuff that you guys should really be focusing on in that relationship-driven component, through email marketing, through text message marketing, with your past guests, because it is 6 times less expensive and time-consuming to extract more market share out of their wallet when they've already pulled their credit card out and spent with you than it is to acquire a brand new customer. And that's what most people don't understand. That's why this is hardcore sales and marketing, what we call smarketing. That is smart marketing, right? So that's why I only want you to focus on the things that are going to really work for you, because we all have a limited amount of time.
Absolutely. Speaking of limited amount of time, I won't take any more of your time, and we're over our time as we always are. But I want to thank you for, nighttime, your time, hopping in and chatting with all of us, and obviously excited to have you back here.
It's 8:40 p.m. here. I got to jump in the shower. We were waiting in line for an hour in the heat for Taylor Swift merch. I need Brenna Carls, if you're out there, I need a HELOC on my personal house after Louis Vuitton and for Bria in Milan, and then the Taylor Swift merch today. I need some extra cash. Either that or Chris is going to have to take a pay cut.
HELOC it is. I'll get with Brenna. Don't worry.
Okay, perfect. All right, I got to go. I'll see you guys later. Thanks. See you in a bit, Chris. See you guys next Monday.
See you, Bill. Thank you all for being here with us. As probably saw in some of the things, these are always recorded. They're in the YouTube channel. You can look under live broadcasts and see any of the previous ones. And I'll post a video in the group kind of going over analytics of Facebook and a little bit more of what I was planning to talk about. But I didn't want to waste the chance to have Bill hop in and join us. He always brings such incredible content and value for you guys. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you guys on next week, Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern time for another Marketing Monday, and I'll see you guys then.